Okay, hello and welcome back to another instalment of Mr. Halpin's YouTube history lessons. Okay, so we are going to carry on this lesson with the old favourite Germany. Okay, so we've been looking at the Weimar government and we've been looking at the problems of Germany after World War One and then what they created to solve those problems, the Weimar government. Now we're looking at how it works. We looked at that a little last lesson, and now we're going to get really in depth. So really clearly work out how actually the voting works and what problems that causes for Germany, but also what positive things that cause for Germany. But as always, we do not learn the information if we cannot remember it in the future. So to help us remember, we need to constantly go over the information, because remember, imagine if I teach you there, you're going to soon forget it unless we go over that information again. So every time we go over that information, we're recalling that information until it's always going to be there in the top of our brain. So have a go at answering these questions. Answer the ones for the topic that you have studied. So Germany, Crime and Punishment, Elizabeth, USA. Give it a go, pause it, give yourself a chance to answer it, and I'll go through those in just a second. Okay, so what were the government created after World War I called? Should have looked at the title, there it is. The Weimar government, capital W please, and always remember that N, government. What was the role of the Reichstag? Role means job. In the Germany's government, okay, they helped create laws. So helped create laws, but they also voted on those laws. And we're going to investigate that this lesson. What problems are caused by World War I in Germany? Okay, so you've got no leader. Who was the leader that ran away? Oh wow, I can hear you all the way from here. In time and space, yeah, Kaiser Wilhelm II. No leader. No political agreement. They couldn't agree. They no money. They were in debt. Okay. Okay, and also they felt betrayed. This is really important. So why did the German people feel betrayed? Why did they feel betrayed? This picture might help you out. Okay, so he's being stabbed in the back. Army's being stabbed in the back. They felt that the army had been stabbed in the back by the Weimar government, and in particular Jewish members of the Weimar government. So this is what leads to Hitler blaming Jewish people, and also how people started to distrust the Weimar government. How many communists were arrested in the Palmer raids? 6,000, and deported means sent back to the country they originally came from, or in this case, some of them were sent to the USSR or Russia. How has treatment to Native Americans changed? Now, this needs to be really specific. So, assimilation to better treatment, e.g. allowed to vote. Okay, what settled laws discriminated against black Americans? You could mention the Jim Crow laws. Separate but equal. Was it equal? No. When did Justice of the Peace take over from the Shire Reeve? So you can talk about the medieval period. Okay, around 1361. When is the industrial period? We're looking at 1750 to 1900. How did the dissolution of the monasteries affect Britain? So, the monasteries, basically a big church. What does the church do to the poor? Well, they help the poor, don't they? So they might give out money. There's meant to be money there. And they might give out food. That's meant to be piece of bread. Dissolution of monasteries means these are now gone. So what happens to the food and the money? Well, that goes to, who are they giving it to? The poor. So what happens to the poorer? The poor, sorry, they get poorer, exactly. What is a vagabond? Homeless person who begs, or poor person who begs for money. What happened if you were caught begging 3 times? Exactly, punished. You could theoretically be killed. When was the Elizabethan era? So we're looking at the 16th century. So looking at 1558 to 1603. Now that's really, really important because that happens just after this. This is Henry VIII's time. So this actually affects the Elizabethan era. So the dissolution of the monasteries creates a lot of homeless people. Okay, so that's why that's really, really important. Who was involved in running the country in Elizabethan England? Well, you've got her, the Queen. Who was her closest advisors? Privy Council. Who votes on laws? Parliament, so MPs. Okay, so that's important because you can compare that to what we're going to learn about today. You can't really see that, can you? There you go, that's better. Oh, perfect. Look at that. Seamless videoing skills by Mr. Hopin there. Okay, so let me rub all this off. We are going to start talking about the Weimar government. But first, what I'd like you to do, because this may have been months even since you last did this, what I would like you to do is I would like you to tell me who was involved in the Weimar government. Who was involved in the Weimar government and how it worked. Okay, so President, Chancellor, Reichstag. What's the Reichstag like? Or what have we got one that's very similar to? Parliament, yeah, and the people. Okay, great. Now what I'd like you to do is, similar to what we did last lesson, I would like you to draw out a representation of how you think that it worked. Okay, so for instance, I'll start here. So here, I've got all the people. Okay, all the people. Now they voted for 2 different groups or different people. What I'd like to do is now finish that graph off, pause it. Should take you about 3 minutes if you want to check your answers as well. Okay, so you've got the president. I'm going to draw him with big muscles because he's really powerful. Here you've got a building because it's a group of people. And this was the Reichstag. Now, they chose someone, or someone was chosen from them, and who led them. The Chancellor. Now I've drawn him with muscles because he's powerful, but not as many because he's not as powerful as the President. Okay. Great. Now what I'd like you to do is quickly remember what the problems are in Germany. What the problems are in Germany caused by World War I. No leader. No agreement. Debt. And stab in the back. Okay. Now, that one has been fixed because of this, isn't it? Now we're going to look at why there was no agreement. Okay? we're going to look at today why there was no agreement. That is what this lesson is going to be looking at in detail. And we're going to be looking at this group here, the Reichstag, and the people actually. We're going to look at how the people voted for the Reichstag, because that is so important, not just in Germany, but well, in any country. You know, if you're not voting for who's leading you, you haven't got any power, and then they could do what they want. So here it is. Here's Jeff, happy little Jeff, happy as Larry. He is happy because he is going to vote. He is going to vote for X. Now he walks along, and he puts his vote into a ballot box. Basically a box where you all put your vote. Johnson, he's also voting for X. Oh, but Sandra, she's voting for a triangle. And Clinton, he's voting for a straight up line. He loves a line. And Mr. Halpin is voting for a circle. So everyone puts their vote into the box. Okay? And then you count them up and you see how many votes you've got. And this then tells you who goes into the Reichstag. Okay? This is the building. Okay? Now, imagine you get 1,000 votes. Are 1,000 people going to be able to sit in the Reichstag? It's a building and it's only got so many places to sit. Okay, so these are chairs now. The places to sit are vital. So, similar to our parliament, I'm drawing it very similar to that. Chairs on one side, chairs on the other. So you've actually got seats inside the Reichstag, actual seats. In total, there's around 421, 23 at this time, okay? So 421 seats. That means you only have 400, I'll just try and there. You only have 421 people that can get into the Reichstag. But you've got to turn these votes into seats. Oh, sorry. So you've got to turn these votes into seats. Now I want to show you how some people may have voted. So, you might have Party 1, we call them political parties. Political parties, a person or group that you vote for. They may get 1, 2, 3 votes. Okay, let's say 3 votes. Party 2 may get 2 votes. Party 3, oh, they're unhappy, they've only got 1 vote. Party 4, they've only got 1 vote as well. And Party 5, 1, 2, 3 votes. Okay, so 3, 2, 1, 1, 3. That's how many votes there are. So that's how many people go in. Is that right? What was if that was 3,000? You can't have 3,000 people in. So you've got to have a way of turning the votes into seats. You've got to have a way of turning the votes into seats. Well, why don't we turn them into percentages? 3 votes equals what? 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that equals 30%. That equals 20%, 10%, 10%, 30%. I'm just going to rub this guy out so we've got some room. So we've got 30% of the vote, 30% of the vote. Well, we need to turn that into seats. Well, if we've got 30% of the votes, why don't we turn that into seats? So that why don't we just make that 30% of the seats? So we've got 20% of the seats, 10% of the seats. So if you've got 30% of the vote, you get 30% of the seats. So if you've got 10% of the votes, you get about 42 seats. So I'll get about 42. They'll get about 42. Okay. So the important thing to remember here is percentage of vote equals percentage of seat. And now that is called proportional representation. So, proportional representation means the number of seats is equal or proportional to the number of votes. Okay? The number of seats is equal or proportional to the number of votes. Now, I'm just going to start clearing up some space here. Now, based on that, if a party gets 10% of the vote, what percentage of the seats do they get? 10%, yeah. If they get 35% of the vote, what percentage of the seats do they get? 35, well done. If they get 95% of the vote, what percentage of the seats do they get? Yeah, 95. Okay, well done. Now, this is extremely democratic. What this means is everyone's vote, well, join the hands, everyone's vote counts. Because you don't have anyone getting no proportion, no percentage of seats. So that gets some power, that gets some power, that gets some power. Everyone's vote counts. So for instance, it's more democratic than our own country right now, Britain. So for instance, in the 2019 election, the Green Party got 865,000 votes, which equated to about nearly 2% of the overall vote. So they should have had 2% of the votes. So what percentage of the seats should they have got? Well, they should have got 2, shouldn't they? They ended up getting less than 0.15. So they're getting less power or less seat share than they should get. So they're unhappy. Okay, what I'd like you to do now, tell me, or define, proportional representation. I'm just going to put PR. And then tell me what is positive about it. Okay, see if you can remember. And then actually, don't pause it yet, then compare that to Elizabethan England. Okay, pause it, give yourself a couple of minutes to do that. Probably should take you probably about 4 minutes to get a really good answer to that. And you're back. Whoa, missed you. Okay, so define proportional representation. The number of seats, or number of votes, percentage of votes equals percentage of seats. Okay, what's positive about it? Very democratic. Okay, so off to a winner. Compare that to Elizabethan England. Well, how democratic was Elizabethan England? Who got the vote? Who had the power? It was much more democratic, isn't it, Germany? Weimar Germany, sorry. Much, much more democratic. Okay? Now, we've now looked at how the people vote for the Reichstag. Okay? What do the Reichstag do? Well, they vote as well, don't they? They vote on laws themselves. Okay, so now we're going to look at how they vote. How they vote. Right, so let's take 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's take 8 people to represent the whole of the Reichstag. Now, the way the Reichstag works is someone writes a law and then they vote yes or no. Okay, so I'll tick or cross. Yes or no. That's it. Okay, so you've got everyone in the Reichstag voting yes or no on something. So how does it get passed? Well, they say, he says yes, he says no, he says no, he says no, yes, 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 yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. So 5 yeses, 3 no's. Okay, whoever's the largest gets it. So yes, votes passed. The reason why, whoever's got the largest, it's over 50%. Okay, whoever gets over 50% wins the vote. 50% wins. Okay, if you get 50%, you are laughing. You are loving it. Now, that's really, really important because how are people voted into the Reichstag? How are people voted into the Reichstag? By proportional, I'll just write it out. Well, by proportional representation, isn't it? Percent of votes equals percent of seats. So, because of that, everyone's vote counts. Everyone's vote counts. So what happens is, there are loads and loads and loads of parties in the Reichstag. So let's call that Party 1, Party 2, Party 3, Party 4, Party 5, 6, I can count, 7, 8. You get a lot of people with power in the Reichstag. No one gets over 50%. There's no one party that is hugely powerful and can control everyone. No one has got 50%. No one. No one's got the 50%. So they have to start teaming up. They have to start making friends. So Party 1's like, oh, I really want this to happen. How about, what do you think? Do you think we can do that? Yeah, let's team up. Let's team up. Yeah, let's team up. We'll team up. We'll vote on the same things. We'll vote on the same things. How many do they need? They need 50%, so we need this guy as well. So what we do is they group people together. They form a team. What we call this, because obviously everything has to be more complicated, we call this a coalition government. Coalition government is when more than one group or more than one party group together to vote on something, to decide what's going to happen. So, when more than one party or group join together to run the country. That is coalition government. Okay? Now what I'd like you to do now is just have a bit of a think. What is positive and what is negative about that? What is positive about it and what is negative about it? Just write out a few bullet points. What do you think is positive? What do you think is negative about coalition government? Okay, to give you a bit of a hint, old saying that people always say, 2 heads are better than 1. 2 heads are better than 1. Another saying that might help you, too many cooks spoil the broth. What that means is too many people making decisions might ruin things. Have a think if that gives you a little bit of a hint as to what makes it positive, what makes it negative. Okay, so positive, sometimes you make better decisions. Just say, they may want to do something absolutely stupid. They ever talk to this person, it's like, no, you're being stupid, let's do this instead. Oh, that's a really, really good idea, yeah, let's do this. However, let's do this. Let's add to that, and boom, they're on a roll, and they've got a good idea. Think about when we do in lessons, think, pair, share. Think, pair, share, you may not know the answer. You share with your partner, they help you out. You've improved your answer. 2 heads are better than 1. Okay, now go back to that example I used a few more times. Imagine we're in a class and we're trying to work out what we're having for lunch. Can we work out quickly what we're going to have for lunch? I don't think so. I don't think your class could work out really, really quickly what you're going to have for lunch and please everyone really quickly. So what you get is, you get disagreements. Or it might be really, really slow. Okay, and we're going to look at how that works just now. So, I'm just going to give you about 30 seconds now. You can pause the video. Just try and catch up if you're making any notes. Make sure that you've got a good definition for coalition. And proportional representation. Okay, so this is the Reichstag. How are they voted in? How are they voted in? What does that mean? Oh, autofocus. Yeah, so that's proportional representation, PR. How are they run? You might have 1, 2, 3, 4. So what you need is number of people working together, coalition government. Now, let's have a problem in Germany. What's he? Oh, he's starving. He is absolutely starving. He's thinking about bread. He's thinking about food. And he's shouting, help. Help. Okay, so we've got an emergency. There is a problem in Germany. The Reichstag have to vote on it. The Reichstag have to create a law. They have to create a law to decide what to do. So they have to create a law to decide what to do. So what might happen? First time they vote, let's have a look at it closer. First time they vote, they say yes, they say yes, they say no, they say no, they say no, they say no, they say yes. So they can't decide. They can't decide. So boom. One failure. Vote one. Failed. Okay. Now he's even more starving. He's really, really thinking about food now. He's really starving. Help! He's getting really, really desperate now. So they do another vote. Okay, they do another vote. Now remember, you've got your coalition government. So you're trying to get all 50% to decide. He may say they need food. He may say they need money. He may say they need jobs. She may say they need food. She may say they need money. What are they going to do? They've now got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different options. Well, 4 different options they can do. Sorry, what? 1, 2, 3. 3 options they can do. What are they going to decide? Quick. Oh, they can't decide. They can't decide. So, no decision. Still, no decision. No decision. Right, one's dead. One person's dead. But there's someone else. Someone else still crying out for help. Still crying out for help. The Reichstag. Come on, let's do it again. Food. He says. Another person says, no, money. Another person says, food. Another person says, I've changed my answer. We need money. This person says, we still need jobs. What are we going to do? Have they come to a decision? Are they going to decide which one they're going to do? How are they going to do it? Are they going to decide? Have they made a decision? No. So now they're dead. So they may make better decisions, but it can take a long time. So if we put it on a graph, this would be quality of decision. So good, bad. So they may make good decisions, but it takes them a long time to make those decisions. Okay, it takes us a long time to make decisions, and in certain circumstances, you haven't got time. In emergencies, you often, this is a red light blaring like a cop car. In emergencies, you don't have the time. Okay, what I'd like you to do is add to your answer on what's good and what's bad about the Weimar government. Not about proportional representation, not about coalition government specifically, about them all. What is good and what is bad about all of it. Okay, so tell me what's good and what's bad about Weimar government. Tell me how is proportional representation and coalition government linked, and then what I'd like to do is explain why these two images represent the different sides of the Weimar government. Pause it, this should take you about 6 minutes. Alright, in here I want you to add, I'm not telling you what's good and what's bad, democracy, decision making. So I'm going to say decisions are better. Decisions are slower. You choose when. Where these go. Can't spell today. Are slower. how are they linked? So proportional representation means more people or parties are in the Reichstag. Power is shared more evenly. That leads to no one having 50% of the seats, so they form coalition governments. So here you can say percentage of seats equals percentage of percentage of votes equals percentage of seats. Here you could say too many parties. Power's more even. They're equal in shape, equal in size. So they have to form coalitions. They have to join together. They have to team up. Okay, now go back to our thinking of how coalition or how the Weimar government works. Who's this? We vote. This is the people. What's this? Bear in mind they vote on laws. Okay, that's Reichstag. Who's this? He creates laws plus controls the Reichstag, Chancellor. And who's this for the big muscles? President. Right, now, what does the president have in his power that helps sort out coalition governments? What has he got that helps solve coalition governments? That's going to be a siren. Yeah, he's got Article 48. Quickly, tell me, or write down definition for Article 48. What's Article 48? In an emergency, he gets to create laws himself. He doesn't need any of this. In an emergency, all that is gone. And he's loving it. Okay? Now, what I'd like to do is answer the question, how is Germany's constitution, that means the way the government works. So how is, I'll change that, how is Germany's government, including all of this, cleverly created? So what I mean by this is you need to now start drawing links between all of these. Who's got the most power? Who then limits that person's power? Who then limits that person's power? How does this vote for the Reichstag? How then does the Reichstag work? What is the problems with the Reichstag? What does this, who then solves those problems? Okay, that's what you need to start thinking about. Okay, this is quite difficult because it includes a huge amount of work. So pause it, give yourself about 9 minutes to answer it. I want to give you some keywords. Right, so I'll just pause this. working. Alright, so you need to include Article 48. You need to include coalition government. You need to include proportional representation. Okay, you need to include democracy. Right. As always, it's been an absolute pleasure. Send me any notes, any work that you've created that you want me to read over, and have a lovely